rocket boiler stove build will be to do the inside work. Put all the fire brick in and the ceramic fiber board and the riser. So in order to work a little more easily, I'm going to take a lot of this stuff off here so I got free access to everything. I'll bring you a little closer so you can see what I got going on in here. The secondary air is just secured with a set screw under there, and I'll pull that off. The first thing I need to do on the inside in here is level up the bottom of this because it's all uneven. And I want to bring it up a little bit because I want this fire brick to be the floor, and I want it up to about that height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some refractory cement, some castable refractory cement, and I'll mix in some perlite to make a mixture. This perlite is some lightweight, I think it's volcanic rock. It's kind of a high temp insulation. And I'll mix that in with the castable refractory cement. And then I'll pour a layer of that down on the bottom for a floor inside this rocket boiler stove. But first, down here I'm going to put a layer of ceramic fiber paper because everything with heat, expands and contracts differently, and I want a barrier between the floor and the metal. That's one thing nice about this. When you make your own stuff, you can make it so you can take it apart easily and change anything you want. Not that I'm going to change this part, but it's nice to be able to take it apart. Lost a couple nuts in there. Now you can see in there, I need to level that up. I bought a roll of this ceramic fiber paper when I built my masonry heater. When you buy it in bulk, it's pretty inexpensive, but that was probably almost 6 years ago now. Things are a lot more expensive, but I still have it, it keeps. So I'm going to just put a layer on the bottom of that boiler stove. I'm also going to make the riser out of this. I'm just going to make a 6-inch tube. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to roll this up into a 6-inch tube and probably have maybe 6 to 10 layers on here. That's the way I built the riser in that other rocket stove. That works pretty good. And the riser in this one's only going to be 12 inches high, so this is exactly what this measures. So I'll just be able to roll it up and make a riser tube out of this stuff. Probably got about 30% perlite in here by volume. I think it's probably mixed up good enough to scoop in there now. About enough too. I got that ceramic fiber paper laid down in there, and I think I'll just start laying this in there, scoop at a time. Well, I got it leveled off pretty good. I just got to let it set up now so I can smoothen it down. It's going to take a while for it to set up, I think. Well, I'll let that dry for a while. That's about 10 layers. The stuff I've been putting on there is called Rigidizer. It'll stiffen all this paper up. This stuff is kind of like felt. It rips kind of easy, but when you put this on there, it stiffens everything up. This other stuff I've been using is sodium silicate. It's water glass. This is 40% solution. This is supposed to act like a glue. I don't know if there's too much difference between this and that Rigidizer, but I used it. It's supposed to be like the glue. So I'll need to let that dry now for probably a few days in order to get that stiffened up. I decided to soak this down one more time pretty good with the Rigidizer because it was still absorbing some yet. But this will be the riser when it's done. Looks like it's about 3/8 to 1/2 inch thick. And then like when I get this all dried off and I take this off, this is just a stainless steel chimney pipe and I wrap some paper around it so it'll slide off of here. But it looks like that's soaked it up pretty good. But anyway, I get this slid off here. This will form the riser and I'll probably coat the inside too. This is the way I did my rocket stove and that worked pretty good. Except I made this one quite a bit thicker. And then when I get this installed in the boiler, I'll wrap another 1/2 inch of that ceramic fiber blanket around it. And then probably some hardware cloth around that to hold everything together. So that's how I make the riser. This is bad chemical stuff. You don't want to have bare hands, bare nose, or bare eyes when you do it. I made a full-size sketch of the layout of the firebox. These rectangulars here are the fire brick. These will be up on end. And right up against the metal, I'll put the ceramic fiber board, 1-inch ceramic fiber board all the way around. I'll cut them in pieces too and lay them out. And this here is the size of the baffle with a space on each side to get some area of flow for the exhaust. And we'll maintain that area of flow for a 6-inch rocket stove. So that was right around 28 square inches, and that's what we'll get when we total these up. And this is just the front here, the frame of that door. That's how it's shaping up inside the stove. That's a firebox, lining it with fire brick right now. Had to do some fancy cutting with the tile saw, fit everything in there. A couple more pieces to cut. And all the pieces are they're wedged in there against each other, so they're not going to fall over. Eventually, I suppose one or two might break, but then I can pull them out and replace them. And the baffle will sit right on top of this square tubing of that door frame. And I'll just go across here. I cut the angle that I wanted first on this 2x, and then I just use this as a guide for my saw when I cut these pieces. It doesn't make a lot of dust if I just use a handsaw and go slow, because this is the stuff you don't want to be breathing in. Now this is inside the burn chamber, fitting in some of the last pieces of that ceramic fiber board. I just put some water glass on there and stick them on there. This is all 1-inch stuff here, so we're going to have 2 inches of ceramic fiber board around here. And that baffle will set right on this ledge here over to that square tubing on the top of that frame. Then I'll have to fill in with a few more pieces on top. And I got the floor of the firebox all cut in there pretty decently. I filled any little gaps in with perlite. I put some water glass and some stainless steel nails in these sides here to hold it on here. And this will make like a pocket at the top of that burn chamber. This is a baffle, and this will be like a pocket. It'll be sitting in there like that, so it'll pocket that hottest gases. I'll cut little notches out on each side to get some of that, a little bit of smoke out, but the majority of the smoke will roll up around the sides and then up. Now the baffle ready to go in, I'll just set it in. And this is a layout of all the pieces of that ceramic fiber board I got laid around. I got that in. Got some pieces that'll fit around here. These will just wedge themselves in with each other so they don't need to be glued or anything. And then I gotta get something for in there. Stick that secondary burn in there. Get two more pieces, one on each side. Pack a little ceramic fiber blanket around that pipe. Secondary air. And now it's ready to set the top of that burn chamber, the very top that the riser comes off of. And I'm going to cut that out. Breathe that dust in. And this will be the very top of the burn chamber above the baffle, and this is where the riser will continue to go out. Here we have the finished riser and the top of that chamber. I made a little ring there to hold the riser in there. This will set in there like this. And that whole top is what will set down on that ledge on the inside of the chamber. That piece will fit in here, the lid. I don't like to use any power tools on this stuff because it just blows that nasty dust around. That'll be for the lid, top of the stove. I now have the riser and the top of the burn chamber all situated in the insulation around this bell with the hardware cloth to hold everything secure, and you can see down to the bottom of the secondary burn chamber. And I did have to patch up a little bit around this exhaust exit. Flange here didn't quite match the curvature of the barrel, so I had to stuff a little of that ceramic fiber wool in there. And when I put this door frame back on, I put some of that ceramic fiber paper around it for a gasket, and everything should be ready to go. That's what it looks like on the inside. You can see down into that. Let's see. That's the secondary air intake. You see way into the burn chamber in there. I left the insulation sticking up a little bit on the inside of this tank, so when I put the lid on, it'll all mush down and get a good seal around the top. So that'll take care of the wood burning portion of this rocket stove water heater build. All the air intakes are in, all the passageways are in for the exhaust. So the next step will be to put the water heating coils down around the inside of this tank for heating up water. I'm also going to put 2 boiler tubes across the top of this tank, right where that hottest exhaust is going to be. And that'll be just some stainless steel piping. They'll connect up to this tubing. So I'll have to punch a few more holes in this tank. And that's what I'll get working on now. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.